Welcome to the G3X Podcast, where it's God Gym Grind Unfiltered. Episode 30 today. I think is super cool. We already did 30 episodes along the way, and so super excited today. Our special guest is Diamond. Diamond, thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling good on this Good Friday. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to, just share my story and just connect with your audience.
For sure. No, super excited. Thank you so much for also being here, Diamond. I know it's something we've been kind of talking for a little while. Finally, we were able to find a day and time that we're both available. I know you have a busy schedule and everything as well. So thank you so much. For the audience, I met Diamond, as you probably could guess, with all the past episodes. I always say, like, through social media, like through actually Threads and Instagram. We've been following her for a while, seeing her journey and everything of the sort. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I think she has an amazing story to share. And I asked her, would you like to be a guest on the podcast? She's like, hey, it's my first time. I haven't done a podcast before, but I'm so down. I'm like, say less, let's do it. And so here we are now. And so, again, super excited. It's going to be a fantastic story. So let me not steal your thunder, though, Diamond. For the audience who isn't aware of who you are, feel free to give yourself like a little introduction, what you do, where you're from, etc. And then we can take it from there.
Yes, I'm Diamond. I go by Dime Inspo on social media. I started off on social media just sharing my journey after just reconnecting with myself, my mind, my body after having my son. Because, like many, I kind of lost myself. So I started online just documenting my journey as a way to, kind of have an outlet, but also connect with other people who may have went through something similar that I was going through. And now we're here. Like he said, this is the first podcast that I'll be sitting on, just sharing my journey. And I'm just super excited, super excited. I currently live in Atlanta. I'm in the Atlanta area. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, though. Then I spent some time in South Georgia. So I can consider myself a Georgia peach. I've been here since 2007 at this point.
Wow. Nice. There you go. There you go. Ever thought of coming down here to the 305 Miami or not?
That was crazy. I was literally just there at the beginning of July because I went on a cruise and we
Oh,
boarded
snap.
out of Miami. And it's nice. This was my second
Oh,
time.
snap.
Every time I go, I have a good time. So I would consider it. It's just
Nice.
it's hot. It's Atlanta is hot, but Miami
That's
is
true.
hotter.
Oh my God. The humidity here does not play. I'll tell you that much. Sometimes I walk outside just to grab the mail and it's like, oh my God, how is it this hot and humid? Like, let me go back inside.
It's something that you got to get used to. I'm not used to it yet.
I get you. I get you. That's too funny though. But no, that's one thing, honestly, that, captured my attention, your whole story of what got you into fitness. And I know there's some cool gems we could provide in your story. So let's get into that actually, like kind of like, let's say that beginning aspect, as you mentioned, like what drew you into fitness, how did, let's say, becoming a mom influence that journey? It's funny, like maybe 2 episodes ago, I also had a guest who was basically talking about her fitness story after giving birth, and it was a super cool, inspiring story. And so, hearing you mention like, oh, after I gave birth to my son, kind of wanted to find myself back going through fitness. So I know there's a lot of, let's say, moms that can be listening to this that can possibly relate to your story. So talk to me about that. Like, what drew you to fitness, and how did ultimately becoming a mom, let's say, influence that decision as well?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't come from a family that, stress the importance of working out, staying active, and things along that line. I think like many people in the African American community could probably attest to that. But I did in high school. I did competition cheer as well as JROTC. So with that, that entailed a physical training, some sort of like activity. And I loved that. Like I always loved it, even though, other people may have been about to pass out and, in the heat and stuff, but I always loved that. I went to college. I would call myself going to the gym. After college, I would work out. My husband, he played college football, so I would work out with him and things. But I could never stay consistent. I could never stick with it. It was just something that I would do here and there. I may have, stuck with it for like a month and then fell off. But then I had my son in 2020. And like many, after you give birth, I just went through so many different changes, of course, bodily changes, hormonal changes. And like many, it began as a way to try to snap back, like so many mothers say, but it then turned into something that it was more so a way for me to have alone time and reconnect with myself. So in 2023, that's when I really became like super consistent with it. And at the time, my husband, he was trying to lose weight. So we started off just doing walks. We would walk. And then I'm like, hey, I want to start back going to the gym. And I challenged myself. I'm like, because like I said, I will always work out, but I could never stick with it. So I challenged myself. I want to stick with this. I really want to stick with this. And I did. So I started going to the gym every day. If I wasn't gymming, I was walking. And it was really a way for me, again, to have that alone time and spend that time with myself because I just started to notice that, I just was swamped in motherhood. It was just all about my son and all about mommy this, mommy that. So, when I started going to the gym and having that time by myself, I, of course, started to see the physical changes within my body again, but also it was just more mental. And that was the thing that I loved about it the most, just reconnecting with myself in that
It was kind of like, in a sense, your you time, where it's like just you, the weights, or your music, etc. It's like just you and your you time, in a sense. Like,
Yes, yes. And you need that. I've quickly learned like you need that as a mom, just as a person, period. Like you need some time.
I totally agree with you there. Like, for example, I'll look at, let's say, my mom. I'll have it, and sometimes I see her like doing like different things. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, go do this or chill here or something. Like, you help a lot with the family. Go. You need your you time as well too, because otherwise, you could like build up a lot of stress, or you start getting tense. And I would say with a mom, obviously I'm not a mom, but just sometimes I'll see moms when I'm out and like with like their little kids, and like there's so many things that I'm like, oh my god, I'll get stressed out, like super stressed out, like dealing with all that. And then knowing like the love of a mom, like in a sense that could just juggle 10 things all at the same time, and I'm like, I struggle with two. Like, that's amazing from a mom perspective and crazy as well, you know what I mean? So it's like, wow. But I love the story, and there you go. So, and now, of course, gym became a lifestyle of it. Would you say, let's say, for maybe other moms watching this, what would, and maybe they're same thing, they're feeling a little stuck, or maybe they don't have time for themselves, want to get back into fitness, what would you, how did you, let's say, manage the time? Like you said, you found yourself in a way that everything was mom this, mom that, mom that. How were you able to like balance your time management of work, kid time, your own time, to everything, in a sense, I guess you could say, flows well, and structure that accordingly?
Think for me, what clicked was I realized that you have to have a routine. And not only that, like as a mom, you have to prioritize you first. Because when you're not your best self, you cannot show up as the best mom. It becomes hard to do. So with that, I would say, and I would recommend, just carve out time to have alone. Like for me, it kind of varies depending on like the season and, different things that I may have going on. But for the most part, I tend to wake up earlier, and, have that dedicated time during the day to spend my time by myself, go to the gym before my son wakes and things like that. For someone watching, it may be, time after work, or maybe on a weekend, you may have to call mom, dad, like, hey, I need help with the kid today. I need to go for a walk or something. But just always remember to prioritize you so that you can be the best version of yourself, so that you're showing up as the best version of the mom that you can be for your kid or kid.
Really like that last phrase, especially the best version that you can be for your mom, because I could see, I've seen other parents sometimes that maybe they focus too much on trying to give everything for their kid, like whatever that may mean. It can vary based off of each parent, but they, in a sense, they're killing themselves with work or this and that to like give the best for their kid, but then that time itself, hey, sometimes it's not just about material things, or it's about spending just eating some lunch together and just talking or something like that, as basic as that can be. But like you're saying, if you're constantly stressed out, constantly tense, or this and that, then you're not being the best parent, the best mom, the best dad that you could be. Because I mean, it might happen to any of us that because of all that pressure or work or stress or this, we might unintentionally
Yeah.
lash it out at one of the kids, and the kids are like, hey, wait, what did I do? You know what I mean? And so, and hey, at the same time, we're not perfect either, but I really like that phrase, because I think it's cool, being the best mom you could be. Like, you ultimately have to have some type of routine where this is my specific time where I'm gonna hit the gym, go for my walk. And of course, also I would say that communication, where the family knows, like, hey,
Yeah.
Mom goes to the gym every day at 6, so that's her time. Let's not bother her. Let's be
Let's leave her
respectful
alone.
of it. That's something within my family that we'll do. Yeah, exactly. And that's something I think that helps a lot because with my family too, we'll have each one of us like, hey, at this time we're doing this, or at this time my mom's gonna be that, so don't bother her. My dad, let him rest. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're all on the same page. We know it. Cool, beautiful. We're aware of that and we're conscious of it, for sure. I also think adding to your story as well could be the fact that, like you said, having a routine, but I would also say some type of initiative. And what I mean by initiative is that if need be, you'll call your parents. Hey, look, maybe can you help take care of my son? I bet they're happy. Hey, the grandkid is coming. Why not? You know what I mean, or something. But having that initiative, hey, can you help me with this? Or adjusting your time as need be, because other people could easily fall under the trap where it's I was supposed to go to the gym at 6, but I have no one to watch my son, let's say. So okay, well, I'm gonna stay, but you're at least try to find a solution if possible. Of course, there's always things that happen, but I'm just saying having that initiative of maybe going that extra mile to still make it happen where some people might not. And I think that's also something powerful in your story, having that, as we all know in the fitness, having in a sense that discipline, I would say, right?
Yeah. And I would say to add to that too, it's hard. That was something that I struggle with too. Not even asking for help, but receiving help. And what I mean by that is I'm not the mom that just throws my kid off on, relatives just because I can. So I struggled in the beginning. And I think that kind of added to, my frustration and me losing myself in motherhood because I kind of have this do it all mindset. And even though I can do it all, I noticed that I was doing a little bit too much that I did not have to do. Like it takes a village to raise a kid. So also just find that balance with receiving help. And I know it's hard, especially for a lot of us. But yeah, just take heed to the help that you do have. That way you can stick to your routine in whatever way, shape, or form. I think that's key.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I would say at the same time too, being honest to yourself. Hey, if I want to make it happen, if I want to make it happen, I need to make it happen in
Yeah.
a sense. It's not going to just happen by itself,
Yeah.
and then having a little bit of that, I would say self-awareness too, where it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I haven't been making the best decisions to get me where I want to go. So let me adjust for that. And I know what you mean there on the, let's say, asking for help aspect. Cause sometimes I've been in situations myself where I feel I need to figure this out myself. I don't want to ask anyone. But
Mhm.
then you know what? That's what, let's say, relationships or connections are about, where you could ask someone for help and they could help you. Like this podcast has actually been a beautiful bridge on that, because I've been able to connect with so many people where it's like, wow, this, you used to do this, or about this. Wow, now if I ever need help in something, it's happened to me. If I ever need help in something, hey, I remember this guest on my podcast, he or she talked about that. Let me just reach out to them and see what's up. And it's a beautiful way of building more connections. And like you said, being able to understand, everyone needs help in some aspect, right? We're not perfect human beings. And I think that's ultimately how we all grow, by leaning on someone else, or let's say learning from someone else, taking what they've experienced, applying to ourselves, and how we like grow in life too. So I know sometimes it's easy to be like, no, let me figure this out myself. But you could save yourself a lot of time, headache, by like a simple ask, hey,
Yeah.
and sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to be a bother or a nuisance. But you'd be surprised, actually. I've been surprised how many people are truly willing to help you if you literally just ask. You hear that on like these motivational videos, just ask.
Yep.
You're like, okay, yeah. But until you actually start doing it and you literally start asking, you're like, oh, snap. There's actually truth to that phrase, just ask.
I think a lot of times we be in our head like it's literally that easy just to ask or just to receive. If someone's like, hey, just yeah,
Yeah. Now, I also wanted to ask you, like, with the fitness aspect, right? Because I would say a lot of guests I've had in the past, even myself, where we kind of found ourselves back through fitness after being through some type of dark moment, or just some type of things we were going through. And like kind of like that fitness, the gym kind of like brought us back. What would you say, for you at least, in your fitness journey, helped you get back to finding yourself? Like you said, you went through different things in your childhood, past struggles. What would you say the fitness helped you in that? In what area specifically did that help you connect back with yourself and so forth?
yeah. So for me, like when I'm in the gym, it's literally me, my headphones, and my thoughts, right? And for so long, for me, I struggled and I tried to run away from like thoughts from my childhood and stuff. Like, I grew up in a family. My mom struggled with addiction. My dad was a single parent to seven. So seeing that and, not really having her in my life and, just struggles that I went through during my childhood that I try so hard to push to the back of my mind when I'm alone and while being in the gym and just working out, that created that space for me to spend time with my thoughts and process those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions that I tried so hard not to do. And also, it gave me a place to release those things as well, right? So, not only am I processing those things, not only am I allowing myself to scroll down memory lane to heal and to, overcome those things, I've also found that place to release it. I'm sure you've seen that post on social media. They're like, I think it says something along the lines, the gym is the only place where you can hurt and heal at the same time. I 100% agree with that. So that's
Oh yeah.
kind of where it became for me. So just seeing that transformation to where I found my safe space, right? And I was able to, just heal and reconnect with myself in that way. I think that was the biggest thing that really helped shape this to become a lifestyle for me. Because just coming from where I come from and just coming out of that dark place after I lost myself, after having my kid, it's like I knew how that felt. And to know that feeling, I never want to feel like that again. So it kind of added to me continuing on, if that makes sense.
And one thing that we like to say here is, with G3X is like that God gym grind aspect and that grind in the sense of like, hey, whatever you go through in life, tough decisions, dark circumstances, like grind through it. And what we mean by grind through it is like, don't stay there, like, overcome it. It might take you 6 months, a year, 3 months. It varies per person, but grind through it, like, push through it, overcome that dark chapter. And you'll find yourself that by always pushing through in those dark, hard, difficult times, be it emotionally, mentally, financially, etc. So many different things that you come out on top and you grow from that situation, you grow from that environment. Was it easy? Was it fun? Absolutely not. But there's that these famous analogies. Let's say diamond. A diamond isn't formed unless it's like under intense pressure, right? And it's like one of the hardest substance on earth, right? People see it on jewelry, wow, how beautiful, but the process to get to that. Or let's say like a pot, it has to be molded into like whatever, I don't know the correct terms, but like as someone's making like those pots from hands, you have to like mold it to like give it the form you want. And so sometimes life, throws us things to mold us into where the plan that's meant for us, and it's uncomfortable, it's not fun, it hurts, it sucks, but looking back after, then you could be like, wow, that led me to where I'm at now. And I always find that I won't tire of saying it, but I, time and time again, and hearing people's stories of how certain situations from, let's say, their dark past and this and that, ultimately led them to finding some bright side in their current life now, which transformed them, changed them, but it led them all to that. And a famous quote that I like saying a lot from Steve Jobs, where he said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You could only connect the dots looking back. Whereas like things happen. And at that point in time, it doesn't make sense why it happens. But you look back at it after a specific amount of time and you're like, oh, wow, because of this led me to here. It led me to that. I met this person, connected here. I started this business, or I started the gym, and here I am now. And it really is so super beautiful hearing other people's stories and how it got them to that point. You didn't stay there. You didn't let it, like, no, let's say, victim mentality or anything. You did something about it. Let's make a difference. Let's go for a change, new decisions. And here you are now, in a sense, like a different person than before. And I think that's beautiful.
And looking back, like you said, it all makes sense, right? Like if I could go back in time, I really wouldn't change anything because it built my character, it built my grind, it built, me being the person that I am today. So everything that you said, I 100% agree with.
Awesome, Diamond. Now, let me ask you the following. I know eventually it led you decided to document your journey online and so forth. So what motivated you to do that? Actually, what got you interested? I know that's sometimes a big jump for people when they're starting in their fitness journey and then decided to, let's say, share their journey online, social media and everything. So what made you decide to document your journey on social media? And then how did you start experiencing your own growth, growing your own community and, onwards?
Yeah, so I started off on TikTok, and at the time when I first started just posting content, it was really just for fun. And I was posting like day in the life of a mom and, that type of content. And then, as I said, I started to be consistent in the gym. That's when I started posting more fitness, workout related videos. And I noticed that that's what a lot of my audience was gravitating towards. And then one of my cousins, Quanika Rogers, if you see this, hey, but she told me, she was like, this is your lane. Like, I love, when you put out these type of videos, this is what you need to be doing. And at first, in my mind, I'm like, I mean, I'm literally just working out. Like, it's nothing special, but I noticed that that was what my audience was gravitating towards. And I would get comments and DMs, people just telling me that, I inspired them to start their fitness journey, or people would just reach out asking for tips with form and, different type of workout ideas and stuff like that. So it made me realize like, okay, my cousin might be right. I might be onto something with this. And again, it was something that I began to fall in love with. So it became easy for me to continue to post that content because I do it every day anyways, right? So it didn't feel like a job or anything, just more so like a hobby. And again, from it, being able to connect with like-minded people like yourself and other people that I've met along the way. I think that's the coolest part about social media. And also just seeing the impact that I have on other people's lives by just showing up as me and just doing the things that I love.
That's awesome. There you go. That's beautiful. And I would say that's as I like to say, the beautiful side of social media, where you're able to connect with like so many like cool people and like they're all cheering you on and like you never met them, but they're, hey, you go girl, keep it up, and I think it's always just super cool that that aspect. Absolutely. And would you say throughout your time sharing your content, sharing your journey, like you said, it was never felt like a job. It was more like a part-time, like a little hobby, as you said. So I'm guessing there was never a feeling of pressure, or let's say as a creator, to have it all together, and like in a sense, like being authentic. We see that a lot on social media where there's like different edits or filters you can do to adjust how you look or create more of an aesthetics, et cetera, et cetera. But for you, like keeping more of that authenticity, where as we know in that fitness space, everyone's like perfection, like this, like, and sometimes you don't even know if it's like a real body or not anyways. But how did you manage that aspect, or did you ever feel any pressure on that, or there was never any pressure on your end? You were just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my way, like post my journey, I don't care about anything else, etc. How did you manage that?
So going back to TikTok, I did when I first started posting before I was like consistent on social media, which was I started being consistent the beginning of this year, but prior to that, I took about 6 to 8 months off of social media from posting at least. As I was finishing my master's program, I was overwhelmed with a lot of things. So I'm like, something has to take a break. And I have to take a break for something. But in that time that I was in that moment of me taking a break, I also continue to gym, continue to work on myself and everything. But I think during that time and during that space, I kind of developed a mental toughness that I didn't realize that I needed stepping into, my content creation era. So I think, just having that time to mentally develop myself, I stepped into it with the mindset of, in a world full of everybody else, I haven't been seen yet, right? So it's important for me to show up as me, show the people, a person that they have not seen. And, in doing so, just showing up as yourself, the people that you connect with, the people that resonate with you, my story, and they're going to come, right? And I think, I also went into it from a mindset of, I want to connect with people like me. I want to connect with people that do the things and enjoy the same things that I enjoy. And when building a connection, you usually connect based off of something that we have in common, right? So again, I just think, that kind of helped me to just realize like, I just have to show up as me. My people are going to come, they're going to gravitate towards me. Yes, I can attest to like, I can understand how it can be a lot of pressure to live up to certain standards. But I think, me taking that time off of social media from creating it unknowingly, gave me a certain level of mental toughness that I need stepping into this. So I don't know what the future may hold, as I continue to grow and evolve and everything. Hopefully I don't feel that pressure, but I do think I'm prepared if that may come, if that makes sense.
Nice. I love it. Love it. Would you say ultimately with yourself, like, what have you learned through like social media in the sense of like when it comes to like content creation, let's say for anyone out there also maybe starting their fitness journey, want to get a little better with content creation, or any like things you've learned within your own content journey, like, oh, these reels versus that or this kind of messaging. Again, everyone's audience could be different, so of course that also applies. But what has been some of your biggest takeaways, let's say learning the social media game in a sense?
Everyone says this and it may sound cliche, but consistency is key. Like you have to continue to show up and put yourself in everyone's face, right? Because if not, if I don't see you online every other day, every other week, if I don't see you often, you're easy to be forgotten about, right? So my biggest take that I've learned is consistency is definitely key. I'm not a big edit type of girly, like that's just not my style. But I think, as you get into it, you find your flow, find what is true to you, and just continue to just be consistent and show up as yourself too. And I think also another thing that I really try to do now, especially now that I'm starting to like open up a little bit more about who I am, I've already established like what I do. I think it's important to also highlight your struggles, highlight the things that, your downfalls and stuff, because those are the things that other people connect with you on. Because in a world of social media, like a lot of people want to show up and make it seem as if everything is perfect, everything is peaches and cream, but that's not the reality. So I think too, just, having that boldness to, just share your struggles as well, because that's what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. Just building those connections, just helping people along the way. Um, but yeah.
Nice, beautiful. Definitely. No, I would say 100% you find your flow of it. I like how you said it. Cause same thing, I look back, some of the old content, how I would edit or things, and then looking back now and you start like switching it up. You find new things you like. I think one day at the end of the day, it's like, what messaging do you want to share? And then finding the best way for you to share that message, right?
Right.
Versus trying to fit in a category, but maybe that's not you. And so then you're not creating that most authentic content where nowadays with AI videos and this and that, kind of like, you want a little bit of some authentic content. And what better way to keep it authentic than something you feel comfortable doing or just kind of flows naturally for you versus trying to, let's say, force something and it's not really you. You know what I mean? And I know social media people can fall into that trap a lot.
And I think you can see through that too, right? Because, even though we both create content and post content, but we also consume content to a certain level. And you can see that, you can see when somebody is trying to show up and be like somebody else. So just always be true to you with whatever you do, whether that's content creation or whatever it is.
Yep. No, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Now, moving forward here, I also wanted to get into something that really, stood out to me. Let's say, given everything you've already mentioned here in the podcast, with the like identity loss, abandonment, environment challenges, etc. If there was, let's say, an advice you could give to an audience listening to this right now, they feel anyone like let's say moms or anyone else who feels stuck, they feel lost in themselves, what would you, with your own journey that you went through, what would you tell them?
First thing first, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to know that, hey, something is off. I feel off, but also know that at a certain point in time, we have to come up with a solution to that problem, right? Um, and again, like I said earlier, you always have to make you a priority. Never forget to pour into your cup, especially as you're juggling different things, motherhood. You may have a partner, maybe trying to build a business or whatever the case may be. Always, you know, make sure that you're prioritizing you, your mental health. Um, and give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Like we all go through those seasons. We all go through certain things in life that throw us off track. But in the end, kind of like what you said earlier, life has a way of coming together full circle, and you'll realize that the things and the obstacles that God may have thrown your way were all meant to happen for a reason, to build you up, to give you that mental toughness, to give you a different perspective, for the next chapter of your life. And of the utmost important, just always continue to just work on you. Just never stop working on you. Never stop working on you. You're your biggest project in every aspect. Um, but yeah.
So real what you said, Diamond. Truly, I definitely think giving yourself grace might be something a little underappreciated nowadays. Where there's these things through social media like, hey, always working, 24/7 hustle, this and that, and even I know like the grind, don't the nonstop grind. Even though I know we say it ourselves, G3X God Gym grind, but that's why it's a three-part. It's a three-part process. Let's say it's like all three together, God Gym grind, not just grind, right? So there's still a balance to that grind, even with our messaging. But I know nowadays with social media and everything's like hustle nonstop 24. It's like you feel like you always have to be working or always doing something where you could easily bring yourself out. And like you said, give yourself grace. Like acknowledge the fact you've made it to where you are now, where other people probably didn't make it or couldn't continue. And so you're already a fighter. You're already like, showing yourself. Yeah, maybe you still have higher ambitions, higher goals. We all do. Heck yeah. That doesn't mean to get complacent, right? Giving yourself grace isn't a way of like, okay, this is my excuse of getting complacent with my scenario, but giving yourself grace, like, hey, sometimes you have to be a little bit, not too hard on yourself and then just continue going. So I love how you said that, especially on that grace aspect, because I think it's definitely something that we should be a little bit more aware for ourselves, because I know it's easy to fall under that trap of being like too hard on yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, also some other little things, little fun facts about you that I want to also like the audience to be aware. We've had a great conversation when it came to your background story, your fitness journey, your content creation journey. But let's say right now, then, when it comes to, let's say, your current fitness routine, any specific, like, let's say, favorite workouts that you like to do or exercises that are like, okay, yeah, these are my favorite exercises or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so I'm currently training for my first half marathon. So I'm doing more running than,
Okay.
yeah, excited about that. I'm doing a little bit more running than, strength training, but I do still try to strength train at least 2 times a week, bare minimum. But my staple in every single workout, especially leg day, RDL. I gotta do some RDL. Single leg, both legs, that's my thing.
Nice. Okay. Hey, I was gonna ask you, do you like them single or double? Now, let me ask you the following: between, like, let's say either single or like regular, do you prefer like the barbell, Smith machine, dumbbells, or like no, anything goes?
Really anything goes, but I noticed, at least for me, I like the single leg on the Smith machine. Like I feel it a little bit more. I get a little bit more of a pump doing it that
Nice, nice. Okay, I like it. There you go. Yeah, for me, I tend to I like the barbell a lot actually, but then sometimes I like dumbbells just because with dumbbells I feel like for me like I feel more of a stretch when it comes to RDLs.
way.
But when it comes to hamstring, and it's funny because today is literally leg day for me. Today, as we're recording this, today is a Friday that we're recording this, and it's literally a leg day for me today. So it's funny that you mentioned that. For me, I would definitely say my favorite hamstring exercise would probably be the seated curl, just because like that thing, I don't know, it just makes me like I like doing the seated curl and then right after doing RDLs because it's like you get a crazy pump with the seated curls and then the RDLs like stretch you even more. So then it's like you're pumped and now you're like getting stretched in a sense. It's like it feels like really good on the hamstrings.
2 for 1, 2 for 1.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then when you're in the what's your, let's say, hype music? Any kind of hype music that you like listening to when at the gym, or are you more of a just your inner thoughts at the gym? I know you said you're with your headphones at the gym, so any like type of hype music that gets you going?
Yeah, so anything Nicki Minaj. A good Nicki Minaj playlist,
Okay.
you are bound to have a good one. Like, I love Nicki down. So more likely than not, I'm listening to her. She's getting me through each and every workout.
Let's go. Facts, facts. No, yeah, she has there's some crazy good beats that she has that
Yeah, it's the
100%
beat for
gets you
me.
going, you know? For
Yeah,
me,
that's
yeah, for me, it's a mixture. It could be like sometimes I'm in the mood of some rock music, like, yo, give me some 3 days grace, animals I have become, you know, just other days I'm like, you know what? I want something a little bit more mellow, a little bit more like chill. And
yeah.
then other times is like just shuffle and just play me whatever,
Anything
you
goes.
know?
Anything goes.
Anything goes. It's funny, I've been able to. I was working out with a friend of mine actually. Like, are you able to work out with, let's say, no music? Let's say your headphones died, you forgot your AirPods, whatever, and just like no music at all for you, like you can't. Because I know some people can't without music, others either or. Like, how about yourself?
I can, but I don't like to. It has been a couple of times
I
I've
get
been
you.
to the gym, my headphones died, or I get to the gym just to realize I don't have my headphones, and it's like I'm here now, so just got to push through it. But I don't like it, but I'll do it.
I get you, yeah, because I've had the habit where sometimes, like, I just get into the gym and I don't even put my headphones on, right? And so I was working out with a friend of mine once. We were like filming some content together. So since we were filming, for me, it was just easier not having my headphones on because it's easier to like talk, like, yo, move here, or like, hey, position that camera there, or whatever. And so he was with his headphones, and in one we were doing legs that day, and then we were doing leg extensions actually, and he was like, bro, I don't know how you could do it without no music. Like, you're just like, it's just your demons and you. And I just started laughing so much because it caught me off guard. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, oh snap. I didn't even realize that I wasn't even with my headphones, right? Because since
Yeah.
I tend to work out with my sister like every day, like whenever I go to the gym, I always go with my sister. Like we work out together. And so there's many times since we're talking, me and her, that I don't even put on my headphones. Other times that, yeah, I just want to lock in. I put on my headphones. And since we already know what we're going to do for that day, we don't even need to tell each other. We just like, okay, this machine next, that machine next. We already know how many sets and everything, etc. And so there's many times that when I'm with her, I don't even put my headphones on because we're just like talking or whatever. And so I kind of got used to like some not wearing my headphones at times. And so I just found it funny when my friend was like, "Oh my god, it's just your demons at you." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Nah, bro, it's just I don't know. I got used to it, but I don't mind music either." So it's just kind of funny there.
It'll be like that. He was locked in,
But
locked in.
as we're wrapping up here for the locked in. No, yeah, locked in. Now, let me ask you the following, Diamond. As we know, it's been an amazing conversation. Crazy how time has flown, and kind of bringing it up to a close. I always like to leave it as like one little final question to the guest of every one of these podcasts that we do. You know, for me, my question to you is like, what's next for you, Diamond? Like, where do you see yourself moving forward? Like, be it content, let's say motherhood, personal growth. Where do you see that you're currently most excited about? Of let's say your future plans, or where you see yourself moving forward in life.
Yeah, so I'm currently really just trusting God during the season of my life because I struggle with just trying to be in control. And I'm learning that His way is 10 times better than the plans that I make for myself. But the way that I'm being pulled is what I'm doing now, just connecting with other people. I really enjoy speaking with you and just meeting with you, sharing my story. So I do plan to do more of this, just continuing to grow on social media. I also am in the process of getting my personal training certification. So just starting the online fitness business as well. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm really looking to make an impact. So I can see myself eventually just partnering with different, maybe like YMCA's, boys club, girls club, maybe some group homes, some jails, prisons, and just hosting like fitness events and just showing people that just sharing my story and how the gym saved my life and just letting people know that it could or, do the same for them or, just inspiring them to find what works for them. But yeah, I'm super excited about the future. Again, I'm just letting God lead me during the season, and I'm just excited to see where we go.
Well said. That's beautiful. As I like to say, one of my favorite Bible verses, just because it got me thinking when you mentioned that, like where God guides is like Proverbs 3:5-7, where basically is like trust in the Lord with all your heart. don't lean on your own understanding, and in everything and acknowledge him, and he shall guide your path. So I love that. And as we say here, God Jim Grind, God first. And that's ultimately where God first came from when it came to the branding, through that Bible verse that I read. And it really hit me, because it's like, it's easy to fall into the trap of doing things your way, but it's like, hey, you know what? Let me trust God, and God will lead the way. And ultimately, like you said, he'll know much better where we should be going than where we think we should be going.
It works out good. And it's crazy that you reached out, because I'm currently, I've been strengthening my relationship with God, and I'm just praying and asking God, like, I want to do more. I want to share more. And you reached out to me, and I'm like, God, is that you?
Cool, because even myself too, I've been organizing a little bit more of some of the content of what I want to be posting on my personal page, along with the business, to be like really much more aligned with that God Gym Grind lifestyle. Because I, at least on my personal Instagram, going back to that whole content creation space of being yourself, I just
Yeah.
found myself started doing like random like gym memes, like 6-7 second reels that were kind of like funny gym stuff, which, okay, it got views, cool, but like, I'm not really here to get views. I'm here to build more a community. Rather have just 500 people who follow me, and we're all like super engaged, and like,
Yeah.
okay, views on a reel, but it like, okay, where's the messaging on that? I don't want to become some type of funny gym account or something,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it was pretty cool there. But no, but Diamond, has been awesome, truly awesome having you as a guest. Thank you so much. Your story was amazing. Thank you for sharing it too, as well, because I know it's not easy. Let's say sometimes for some people, it might not be as easy sharing what they've been through and getting it out there. But at the same time, it's a way to also help inspire others who maybe be going through similar situations, such as yourself, and seeing like, hey, there is, let's say, light ahead. There is something better ahead, as long as you keep chugging along, moving forward. So, Diamond, if the audience wanted to find you on social, what platforms are you on? Where can they give you a follow?
Yeah, so Instagram and TikTok at Dime Inspo. That's DIEINSPO. And here on YouTube, you can find me at the Dime Michelle.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure, guys, that'll be all in the description below, regardless if you're on Spotify listening to this, or on YouTube watching this, or even on Apple Podcasts. So check it out below. Give her a follow. She's an amazing person. And hey, you guys, if you're also a mom or anything, or about to be a mom, hit her up. She'll help you with anything on that regards, for sure. She's been through it and she's overcome it. So again, thank you so much, Diamond. Appreciate you. And as we like to say here at G3X Fitness, God Gym Grind. Remember, live that God Gym Grind lifestyle, putting God first, hit the gym, and whatever life throws at you, grind it out. And until the next episode, everyone, thank you so much.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.